Hello and welcome to Another Home Sold, a show about Wellesley real estate where you hear from the experts on the things you need to know about buying a new home, maintaining your property, or preparing to sell. I'm your host and realtor, Steven.Verdelli with Coldwell-Banker, Wellesley's #1 real estate company for 24 years in a row, and I'm very proud to say Coldwell-Banker Wellesley is now New England's #1 Coldwell-Banker office. Today, we are very fortunate to have David Berarducci of Berarducci Landscape Architecture. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm so pleased that you could come out here right now as people are starting to finally see their lawns again after all the snow, and are starting to think about maybe making some changes, landscaping, or just, revamping their yard a little bit.
And being able to use it and be out there, yes.
And I think a lot of yards have taken quite a beating this year.
True.
And plants can only survive so much. So before we get started, David, I just want to talk about a little bit about landscape architects. So let's start from the beginning. How did you get your practice started?
Well, I graduated from Ohio State University, and after that, put my resume out there, and there was a firm in Watertown that I had my sights on, and they offered me a position in the early 80s, so that moved me out here to Boston, and had worked with them for half a dozen years or so, and then went on to work with some other firms within the Boston area, and then it was in the early 90s, decided to start my own firm. Which I did, so established in 1993, I think was the founding year, so to speak, and so I've been doing that ever since.
So from 1993, so just about 25 years now.
Yeah, wow, pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. Entrepreneur spirit, and you came through, developing your own business. So tell me a little bit about the difference between landscape designer, landscape architect, landscaper. People get confused.
Well, I'm classified as a landscape architect, and that the key word there is architect, and you can only use that term in your title if you are a licensed, which means you have to be licensed in order to use that title, which means I'm licensed with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and that requires that you have a degree from an accredited university, and then take a licensing exam, and upon passing that, you get your license. So that is really the key distinction. Others that call themselves a landscape designer or landscaper cannot use that, are not licensed. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have a certain talent, but what it means to be a landscape architect means that we are also trained in other things beyond design. We're trained in construction, means and methods. We are knowledgeable about codes, the latest codes for any municipality, whatever it might be. And in addition to the plants of that particular region that you have your license in. So it's much more comprehensive. And so I find that a homeowner that would hire a landscape architect, they would be hiring me for all of those services and having all of that expertise that would go into the production of the design.
So really, you could be the one-stop shop for somebody who has a compromised yard and needs to either do backfill or have trees removed. You could actually come in, advise them on all of that.
Yes, with the exception of the construction. We don't do construction, the contracting end of it. What we do is the design and prepare the drawings, create the construction detailing that would go into that design, and then we would send those drawings out for bid to a contractor. And then once the contractor bids have come in, I assist the homeowner in analyzing those bids and coming up with the best choice of contractor, and then ultimately the selection is made, and then I work directly with that contractor during the construction of the project, and I'm typically the one that is the complete manager of that project. The homeowner certainly is involved, but they become less involved, and they put that responsibility onto me. So I would deal with all the issues and problems that would come up during construction. And then the homeowner, certainly I keep them involved, and I would have discussions if certain design changes have to be made because of some circumstance that came up during construction that wasn't anticipated. So, but generally speaking, it would be between me and the contractor to take it through.
It's very much like an architect who's building a home.
Absolutely.
You are
like
building
that, yeah.
the yard.
Yep, it's exactly what it is. We are doing the exterior, and an architect does the building.
So what are the advantages that a homeowner has to hiring a landscape architect? I would see now are the fact that you are going to help them bid the project out. you're going to give them ideas as to what somebody wants. So you could walk into a yard that is on a slope or was not landscaped properly for somebody who says, I just want a flat yard with grass and rhododendrons. So you could actually re-landscape their whole yard for them, show them why it would work or why it wouldn't work with the topography of their particular yard, and show them examples of what it's going to look like, or give them examples of an alternative solution for them.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, a homeowner would approach me or contact me for a variety of reasons. From a large-scale home that's oftentimes we get involved with a homeowner that is going to be building a home on a site, so there's nothing that exists. We will work with the architect to even site the home, find the best location on the site given the topography, given the vegetation that wants to be preserved, and the best access to the roadway, all of that. And then we would design what we call the grading of the site, making sure that when the house is put in, all of the water or the runoff from the land drains properly and away from the home and into either catch basins or underground cisterns or into the natural sort of drainage pattern of the site. That's key, to make sure that the house doesn't flood and water doesn't run up against the
Nobody
house.
likes a flooded basement.
No.
That is key. That is key. So we've talked about large scale projects. What about sort of the smaller scale project? I've just purchased a home. It's currently landscaped, but to the likings of the previous owner, and I want to change all of that around. I could still contact you for this to help me out with this type of project.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. When they initially contact me, I listen to what they're describing as far as their needs and their goals for the project. Sometimes it simply is just a reshuffling of plants, and when it's to that level, I often then suggest that their better alternative in terms of cost, in terms of the professional fees and such, that they just go directly to a nursery, like one of the more reputable nurseries. They have services in place to come out and put in new plantings, essentially. But if it's more involved with some hardscape, patios, terraces, walls, drives, walkways, all of that, structures like pergolas, trellises, then yes, that's where the landscape architect is best involved with. And so I listen to them, see what they want. In many ways, obviously then follow it up with a site visit, an initial meeting to see what they're talking about, see what the site looks like, and then work with them. Maybe there are certain parts of the site that should be retained because they're quality and they can work with the new design or the new goals that they might have in mind. And just hear what they have to say. Now, if it's a large-scale project, what I suggest to them that I will do is I come up with an overall master plan for the site, meaning come up with a design that implements all of their program requirements and deals with the whole site. From that point, they can decide if they want to take and have the drawings created and bid out and have the whole site done at once, or if the cost is too much for the whole thing, then they do it in pieces and parts, and we call phasing. And I'll help them with what pieces should be phased first so that we don't, in other words, you don't want to do the head of the site first and then the second phase is in the back and you've just disrupted all that you've done in the front. So
that's right.
there are ways to stage it so that you go from back to front and do the least amount of disturbance. And that is often, I've had projects where that has occurred and we've ended up implementing the whole master plan, but maybe there were 2 or 3 different phases to complete that. But if it's a small plan, then generally speaking, they're willing to go and do the whole site, and that is always dependent upon what the ultimate construction cost comes in at. So I listen to them, I try to get them to establish a budget. Often they don't have a budget established, but we sort of flush that out as the design goes forward. And then ultimately when the contractor comes in with the costs, then if it's too much, then we go through a process of what's called value engineering. So we get them to then look at the design overall. If we have to cut back in some areas, maybe it's materials we cut back on, maybe from granite we go to a concrete, or there's a lot of ways to cut back on the cost. And so once we've come up with a satisfying design for the client and one that fits their budget, then we can go forward with construction. So
interesting. So I know you brought us some pictures, but I just want to touch base again. So this is not just about plantings and topography. You're also assisting with pavers, pergolas, decks, anything on the outside of a home that people want to enjoy their living space.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Fountains, yeah, it encompasses anything that a homeowner can imagine, things that they've seen in magazines or especially on the new Home and Garden television shows. That often is a spring point for a lot of ideas that people have.
We
yeah.
love that HGTV, don't we?
We do, we do.
So let's talk a little bit about outdoor kitchens and things like that. And now, is that getting into the outside of the scope of a landscape architect, or is that right in your scope and you can assist with all of that? Because I see a lot of homeowners adding in outdoor permanent grills, tapping gas lines right into the grill outside so they're not constantly running to go get a new tank all the time.
Right.
So this is all things that you can incorporate in.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So you can use your contacts, you walk them through the whole process, you walk them through the bidding process.
Yeah, especially getting to your outdoor kitchen example, that's something that obviously is a fashion of the day, so to speak. A lot of people are wanting that in some capacity. So yeah, and there's a lot of manufacturers out there that are producing the equipment that can withstand the harsh weather environment that we have here in New England. So yeah, we will do the research for the client, come up with a palette of equipment for them, and the other piece to that is, that's a big part of the design, is figure out the infrastructure that is needed to get the gas lines out, to get the electricity out there, to get the water lines out there. All of that is part of the comprehensive package of what we offer, especially as if lighting is a big part of design, which is something that I like to incorporate. Yeah, it's a very important piece to that.
Well, let's take a look at some of the items that you brought us to some of your prior projects.
So the first one is a project I did in Belmont. So I've got this first one that shows a before and after, where this was taken from the back corner of the house. Taken now, you can see we pulled the landform back and created much more open space for this family happened to have children that they wanted. Created a whole new patio with a upper terrace level with a stone wall with a granite set of stairs gracefully coming down to the lawn area. And this one shows that same shot a little closer to the stairs. This shows the before of the wood stairs that they had, and then now with the stone wall and the granite cascading down. This is another quick shot from the home, the new terrace by the house, out to the back corner of the yard. And you can see we created this sort of very, what I call a contemplative garden back there, where there's a nice little terrace space.
And prior to this, they had these wood benches.
Yeah, or planters. And then in the back, there was also a two-car garage that was demolished as part of that project too. And this shows the same project, but in the front, how there was the house was up on a slope, and we created these series of terraces and stairs.
You changed the topography completely here.
Yes, we had to get from the driveway level up to the porch level, and there's quite a bit of grade change there. So this was the way to break it up with 3 sets of stairs. And then this is another piece of that same project on the side. The before picture shows there was no drop off at all, and so we created this loop drive that would be a drop off for the homeowner and direct access to the kitchen.
Right.
And by the way, all of those things are also required approval by the town of Belmont, especially for that curb cut for the
So the curb cut and the design and the topography change, any type of permitting would go through you as well.
Yes, yep. The next project is one I did in Indiana, and I show this because the site plan that you can see, everything that you see here is added. The site was completely blank. There were no trees. The house was not built yet. I was doing it with an architect. So we totally planted this up, and this was actually, the site was for the developer of this project. It was a golf course community, and at the head of a lake here you can see. This is the gazebo. We created a promontory for them that jutted out into the water with a gazebo that they placed at the end of that.
This is the picture right here. So actually you redirected the water for this. This is a residence?
Yeah, that's the front of it. We created this big vehicular drop-off in the front and surrounded it by red leaf cherry trees. So
beautiful.
So the next two are examples of what I call a very small-scale project. Both of these are in Provincetown, and this one here you can see just the drawing of the site plan, how small the lot is. We had setback requirements that we had to respect with the town, where we couldn't go any closer than 10 feet from the property line and such. So what we did was, and you can see on the next shot here, there's a before and after here. We basically
Wow.
took the existing porch that was there
Yeah.
and created a whole elliptically shaped terrace for them. That became their sort of outdoor room now that they didn't have before. We expanded the size of the porch and put a pergola structure over it because the sun would beat down into the house, and that created a nice, a great deal of shade for them. Plus big enough so that they can get their grill put on it. These are some shots of the narrow walkway. We also took the existing fence that you can see, and typically when fences are built, you have the nice side facing out. So what we did is we kept that fence and then just refaced it with horizontal cedar boards to create this
Great
finished look
idea.
inside.
Yeah.
And then on that we have lighting that at night just cascades arcs of light down onto the surface. So it's a really wonderful ambient glow. Obviously, the plantings are characteristic of the Cape, so we have a lot of hydrangeas in there. And then this isn't the same view, but in the opposite direction towards the back corner. So, the next one is another Provincetown. It's a very small site, as you can see. This is just a diagram of what's created. These diagonal stripes are where wood decking was placed, and then we created this. Basically, it's a pavilion or a pergola structure for them to put the table out onto. And this was quite extensive because the homeowner wanted to have a stream bed with cascading water. So we had the cascading water adjacent to where the table would be by the pavilion, and then basically a pond where that looked as though the decking was cantilevered over the pond. This was a before picture of what the backyard looked like. And then now these are the finished shots of what we had.
This doesn't even look like the same
I know,
place.
it's a completely transformed. And we sized the deck, obviously, to fit what their requirement was. They had a hot tub they wanted recessed into there, so we sited that and then had enough room for furnishings. This next project is residential, but it's urban. I've been doing a lot of townhouse projects in the South End. And, you know, these are very small sites. When I say small, you're talking maybe 15 to 18 feet wide by 20 to 30 feet. And the homeowners are packing a lot of elements into them because this is now an extension of their home, and they want a lot of outdoor rooms as part of this. This particular client had a small daughter. She was, I think, 4 years old. So she wanted a space for the daughter to sort of use as her little play space. So part of that was to create a panel of lawn, and you can see here, what you're seeing now is the design drawing that I presented to her once we went through all the stages of the alternatives. So there's a plan and a perspective, and this also had 2 different levels to the design, which often a lot of the South End townhouses do. The alley is at one grade, and then it steps down to the access to the garden level. So we had to obviously pay attention to that. So we've got you coming off from the alley through a gate with that one level, and that's at the same level as this lawn panel, which is it's only 8 by 10. And the lawn panel is, and I will say this, and it might scare a lot of people, but it's artificial turf. And the synthetic turf today looks so much like natural turf.
I
that
think
you can't
people
tell
are
the
thinking
difference.
astroturf that we
No,
had,
yeah.
100 years ago that would, rip your skin up if
Yeah.
you fell on
Well,
it. I've seen the new turf, and it does look just like
It's
grass.
amazing, and it's completely maintenance free. So these next quick pictures are just, this is the existing condition. The fence was there. We had to, the site was basically stripped. The wall was already put in, so we had to use that but I used it. You can see how I'll show you how I concealed it. So we added to the space. Now you can see this is an intermediate photo where we're beginning to see the panel of lawn.
This is where the lawn is going to go.
Yes,
Okay.
and then the granite stairs were put in. None of the surfaces were put in, but you can see the back trellis, which I was putting on the back side, that is now installed, and we're about to put in the fence.
So is that a metal trellis? Or
It's an all galvanized metal,
Okay.
yes, and we kept it in the natural state versus painting it. Now here's the finished product before the plants went in, and you
Wow.
can see there's the panel of lawn. We had granite at the upper surface with granite steps down, and then the lower level, I used this concrete plank pavers that were random in their length but had this linear effect, and also random in their widths. That was picking up on the cue from the wood flooring in the home, which is the same kind of original patterning where it had different widths and different lengths of the pine flooring. So that is a little homage to the interior. And then we faced the concrete walls you can see here with a veneer stone, which looks just like stacked stone.
Yep.
And then
Yeah,
had
veneer is just where it's about 1/4 of an inch.
Well, actually, these were they're about an inch,
Okay.
and they're good sizes, and they adhere it to the concrete wall. And the skill of the mason comes in how it's placed, but it looks like large-scale blocks of stone. This one also, she wanted a small little fountain here in the corner. You can see, so we cut out the corner of the lawn panel, which what's supporting the lawn panel is Corten steel, and that will rust down to a nice russet, sort of a russety red color. Right now, it's hasn't gone through the oxidization process. And then we have the trellis structure up now. We've got lighting inside the upper level of the trellis that will shine down, and then some lighting we've got along the wood panels.
Okay.
Now and I apologize for this photo, but this was just completed last fall, so I haven't had this photographed yet. This is right after the plants were put in. You can see the trellis is going to serve to hold a lot of roses. We've got 2 seasonably changeable plants, and then we have a espaliered apple trees on the side of the wall as well, and this gives a shot of the fountain as well. And then this is just another close-up. Again, the lawn panel is a big piece of it, and another one. So, and then this shows a quick the other side of the garden, the stairway where we created a watertight storage unit under the stairs for the client. And then this is finally adjacent to that is the what we were calling a kitchen. She ultimately took out the grill that was supposed to be here, but we have cabinetry here. We have water coming into a sink that drains into a Cultec unit below with a granite counter surface.
David, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
We've had David Berarducci of David Berarducci Landscape Architecture. He can be reached at 36 Bromfield Street, Suite 501 in Boston. His number is 617-350-5190. And we will certainly have all of David's information up on our Facebook page. David, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We are so pleased today to have Donna Scott, Wellesley's broker at Coldwell-Banker. Donna, you are welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you.
And Donna, you are in Coldwell-Banker's President's Circle, and which also means that you are top 1% of Coldwell-Banker sales in the nation, correct?
Yes.
Great. Now tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in real estate for?
23 years. 23
years.
And my husband and I moved to Wellesley 34 years ago to raise 2 children, and we've loved living in the town. And I've been selling real estate, as I said, for 23 years. And I love what I do. And we have a great home to talk about today.
Great.
Steve, I sold it to this couple in 2006, and they totally renovated it. It's a gorgeous home. It was built originally in 1959. It's 17 rooms, 5 bedrooms, 6 full baths, 1 half bath, consisting of 66 3,500 square feet of living space on 3/4 of an acre, 35,558. It's the Upham Elementary School, and it's a custom colonial in Wellesley's Cliff Estates. The total renovation was completed in 2006. Every possible amenity imaginable. Copper and cedar shake roof. They have a generator, 7 zones of radiant heat, 4-car heated garage, exquisite kitchen with open floor plan, top-of-the-line appliances, butler's pantry with second dishwasher, breakfast room, study area, and spectacular family room with French doors and stone fireplace. The formal rooms include a cherry library with a fireplace, luxurious master suite with office, deck, and walk-in closets and marble bath, finished lower level with custom wine cellar, exercise room, and bonus room. It has a spacious au pair or in-law suite that they added. First floor laundry with 2 washers and 2 dryers, professionally landscaped, featuring a koi pond, built-in grill, stone wall, and a patio with radiant heat. It's truly a fabulous property.
The main entrance, the foyer, is 13 by 11.
Yes.
That's a great entranceway right there, leading into the dining room.
The dining room is 15 by 13, beautiful. And then into a butler's pantry that has, as I said, the second dishwasher, and it's like a room. It's 11 by 10. It's great food pantry, storage, serving. It's lovely.
Now this kitchen area, 22 by 24. I don't think I've seen a kitchen like that in a while. This is really a professional chef's kitchen, perfect for entertaining if somebody's planning on having large parties.
It is. The homeowner actually is a professional chef. She loves cooking and entertaining, and then they have a desk area that has 3 workstations for children for computers and to do homework. So while she's cooking, the children are right there, which is nice.
Keeping an eye on everything that's going on. That's a great idea.
And the eating area is 16 by 18. It has a huge round table. The brokers yesterday, the house was really well received. Everybody loved it. And then it follows into a sunroom, 10 by 28. And then you can go to the husband's study, which I think we mentioned before, but it's 23 by 20 with a fireplace. It's gorgeous.
And that's completely paneled.
Yes, beautiful
Okay.
room.
Let's just go back a little bit to this family room that's 15 by 28. That, I think, is one of the most fantastic family rooms I've ever seen in a home in the town of Wellesley. The fieldstone fireplace goes to the entire ceiling, correct?
Yes, it does.
And that is a wood-burning fireplace?
Yes, it is.
And then there's the children's playroom or au pair suite to the far right of the house that they did in addition to.
That's correct. Now they're calling it the children's playroom, but it's really a beautiful sitting room with a full bath and then a staircase up that has the 5th bedroom. So it's truly a great,
It's a Manhattan studio apartment.
it is.
That's great. That's great. Let's go upstairs. So the second floor, we have 4
We have
bedrooms
4
upstairs.
bedrooms, 3 full baths, no, 4 full baths, excuse me.
Yep. So when we're not sleeping and we're not cooking, we're down on the lower level here, which offers another whole array of living space. And there's also a wine cellar, which is temperature controlled as well in the
Yes,
basement.
yes, it's
okay.
lovely.
And the wine is not included in this house, I
No,
assume. Okay.
no.
Okay. And Donna, you also mentioned that this house has 3 zones of central air, 7 zones of forced hot air heated by gas, correct?
Yes,
Right, and there's also a generator on this property.
there is.
So there's never a fear of losing power in one of the storms like we have another winter like we've had.
That's correct.
In a heated outdoor patio for the dogs.
And
Is there anything
and the
that-
garage is heated, outside the garages, that's heated also
on the driveway?
in the driveway.
Is there anything that this house does not offer?
Not that I'm aware of.
And that was 81 Albion Road. Donna, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And if you are interested in seeing the show, you can please reach out to Donna at 781-254-1490. I hope you've enjoyed watching today's episode of Another Home Sold. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you're thinking about listing your home or just want to get an up-to-date market analysis, please contact me at 617-922-4714. I'm Steven.Verdelli with Coldwell-Banker Residential Brokerage in Wellesley. Thanks for watching. See you next week. And remember, home is the nicest word there is.